So apparently, according to the MOBOs, there's this really cool new newcomer in the drill scene. His name's Loski. I haven't really heard of him myself. I don't really know what he's been doing for the last couple of years to randomly blow up now. Apparently he has like 2 albums and a mixtape out. But I don't know, never really heard of the guy. So I thought, let's just see what his new album is saying. But after all, he's a newcomer, so let's not expect too much. So Loski has been around for quite a long time, all jokes aside, and has very much been on the front line and very much as a spearhead, and was at one point Loski was very much drill's golden boy, and obviously he dropped his new album, Music, Trial and Trauma, a drill story. So I feel like this is going to be an interesting one to get into. I did like kind of the rollout for this thing in terms of the structure of it, and it'll be kind of interesting what he would kind of go for. I feel like he kind of wants to capture all of the bases. He wants to kind of do the more drill stuff, the more mainstream pop stuff that some of his fans like, but he wants to get a little bit introspective as well and kind of touch on some pretty serious topics in terms of song concepts. But I don't know if I'm expecting anything particularly, I don't know, original musically, but hey, I might be surprised, who knows. As per usual, like and subscribe if you like any of the stuff I do on this channel, or if you think I may do anything even remotely interesting in the future. Obviously, I haven't posted anything for like months because I've been busy with a whole loads of other stuff. Like, I apologize, and hopefully my channel isn't completely dead in that time, but hey, here we go, just in case. The first thing I want to know is I do like how it actually does function as a story. I feel like the 3 sections that it's split into really does capture the themes that he wanted to go for, and some different musical themes as well from stuff he's already done, and the kind of accommodating to the different fan bases that he has. So obviously, to start off with the more drilly cuts on this thing, I like Teddy Brockshot too. I feel like it's a bit more of a signature flow from Loski. It's kind of a going back to origins, and it's a sequel of a song that is basically a favorite in his discography for a lot of fans. So I feel like he did that for the fans. It really delivered what they wanted, which I feel like this whole part of the drill cuts essentially was. In terms of the punchlines on this one as well, I thought they were pretty good. So one eye like Fetty Wap, fortune teller, they give me luck. I liked that line. Obviously the first half of the line, the one eye like Fetty Wap, is one that you've heard before, but that second end of the bar kind of brings some originality to it. So I do like how he took a little bit of a spin on what is a kind of played out punchline. So I do like how Loski came with that. However, personally, I think in terms of the drill cuts, the strongest offering is Anglo-Saxon with Blanco. I think the chemistry between the two of them is great, and I think that's actually my favorite beat. I think in terms of the melody, it just brings a bit more life than some of the others, but there are some of the other tunes that I do feel like in certain aspects of the beats I did like a bit more on the kind of drill cuts, which I will go over in a second. M1's 808s on Captain Hook were just menacing, just filth. I really like them. I feel like it gives a lot to the whole song anyway, and Loski gets to get a bit more gritty, because sometimes I feel like he can be quite laid back with his flows. He gets a bit more gritty with it, he gets a bit more aggressive with it, and the 808s from M1 allows him to do that. You see, I really liked the beat for Basil Brush, but Double L's and Bando's verses were just really meaty, and I feel like Bando and Double L's, sure, in terms of how big their careers have gone, etc, have had a good year. In terms of how good their verses have been, it has really not been a good year for either of them, because I don't know about this, but the verses on this, they kind of just sent me to sleep. It was just really boring. I don't really feel like there was much there. I feel like the same flows they've been using for the past 2 years is what they brought to the track. There was no particular lines that really stood out to me. There was nothing really in these verses that's like, oh my god, these verses were hard. There was nothing really there. So moving more into the kind of pop mainstream section, the interlude that follows it, well, that kicks it off, is quite nice. I feel like it's more of a pledge to himself, how he wants to handle his career and how serious he wants to be, that jail is not a place that he wants to go back to, and if making such pop music is the way that he does that, so be it. However, it's a shame that this section of the tape is the weakest section on the entire tape. Pretty blandish beats on across this whole thing. I feel like it's kind of just pick out whatever mainstream trend is going on and we'll get a rhythm like that going. I don't know, there's just not very much to it in this step, and even then some of the features in terms of the verses, they were even worse than Bando's, and I don't even know how that happened. Despite how great Popcaan is on Avengers, it doesn't really save us from how mediocre and meady Fredo's verse is. And even then, Loski's singing ability isn't that great, but it kind of carries, it does what you want it to. But even then, if we're kind of having this as a tune that's gonna club, vibe, that sort of a thing, where you get up and have a boogie, that sort of thing, I don't really think it fulfills in that department as well, because I don't really think the beat is saying that much. I don't really feel like that melody comes through that nicely. I feel like, sure, for some people it could work, simply because some people will just boogie to whatever's popular and has a decent ring to it, but I just feel like these kind of beats generally are quite boring, and it kind of comes from a good hook and decent-ish verses to carry it. And as much as Popcaan does really well, Loski's singing ability is nothing really to marvel at, and it doesn't really do very much in order to fill out this song and make it the song they were supposed to be, although they designed it to be in the first place. I'm probably gonna get grilled for this, but the Loski Stormzy song with a really boring and bland beat from Steel Bangles, it never needed to exist. This song is completely pointless. I think it comes to a point where having Stormzy on a song like this, just throwing out pretty generic lines with sweet nothings, it's just a waste of what Stormzy has to offer. I feel like he doesn't really exemplify any of his great strengths. It doesn't really tap into the sweet boy stuff that Stormzy is kind of started to become a bit more good at, and the more inspirational stuff that we saw in Gang Signs and Prayers. It doesn't really exemplify the flows that he's capable of or his capability as an MC or rapper. It's kind of just, hey, you could have switched out Stormzy for any other mediocre rapper and they could have pulled off his verse and hook just fine. And even then, I just think his hook is really cringe. Yet again, I feel like this is another song where Loski not really being very strong vocally as a singer comes to bite him in the ass, because it means he can't really do very much with Niger Man on his own. And I feel like the feature kind of really carries him, even though the beat is alright, but yet again isn't really doing anything that special. I understand that people wanted to see Loski get back in his a bit more Afro swing bag again, because that's kind of where a lot more of his big pop numbers came from. But nothing really interesting is happening here, and Davido is doing his best to carry it, because Davido obviously is very good vocally, but there's just nothing really going on here that's that cool. I feel like this is just a pretty generic Afro swing beat that they could have pulled from just about anyone, and just doesn't really do anything special here. And Q with H, that is just a snore fest. It's just really boring. But 2 a.m. spun me, because at first, when I listened to it, this is going to sound really bad, but I thought it was S1 because of the whole baby voice thing, and there are a lot of songs on S1's tape that sound like that in terms of the voice he's putting on, but the beat is just another xylophone rhythm. And you know how I feel about xylophone rhythms? They just need to get in the bin and get dashed with, because they're just dead every time now. I feel like the whole xylophone melody, Afro swing trend is dead, and everyone just needs to just let it die. Just leave it alone, alright? Producers, if you're watching this, delete all the xylophone plugins that you have on Fruit Loops or Logic. Delete all of them. You don't need them no more. It's dead. You don't need to use the instrument ever again on a tune. Don't do it. Just don't.
Nah, you don't do them things, man.
It's true still.
You do not do them things, man. You don't do them things. Make sure you don't do it again. Because man will come on, man good to blow you up.
With all of that aside, ironically, I actually think this is his best vocal performance in as far as his singing on the tape. I feel like there was just a bit more out of him. I feel like vocally he was just doing a bit more better in terms of the melodies he was catching, that sort of a thing. I don't think there's any songs where he necessarily picked bad melodies. I think that's at least one trap he doesn't fall into. But I felt like a lot of songs, there wasn't really anything to marvel at in terms of his vocal ability, and it's kind of just meh. It kind of works. Let's run it. And I feel like this is the only one where it kind of picks out as something that's a little bit more special, and it shows that he can actually have some sort of singing ability on his songs. Even though the voice is a bit Marmite, some people will like it, some people won't. If you want to know what I mean by that, go check out my S1 review that I did on his mixtape, and it kind of covers the same-ish points. But I feel like that kind of baby voice, Playboy Carti sort of thing that Loski's going for, I think it works well for him here, and personally I'm a fan of this one. The second interlude from Akala I think really sets up what he wanted to do with this section of the tape, get a bit more introspective, talk about the experiences he's been with as a rapper, as well as a black young teenager or young adult living in London, and everything he's had to deal with and go through, and how he feels about the black community and what his place within it is, and what his kind of his responsibility, and also talk about everything that comes with it. And also, in terms of speaking on specifically what Akala had to say, it's a clip from one of his talk show / interviews, talking about how blackness is usually blamed for all the bad things that we do, but it's never used as a factor for all the good things that we do. It's very much captures what Loski goes on to rap about next. So I think that interlude really well placed, and it really helps the structure of the entire tape. Black is easily my favorite song on the entire tape. It's kind of an inspirational, uplifting drill number. I really do like the kind of trumpet melody they've got in there. It really gets that sort of vibe going, especially with the stuff he's talking about. I thought Eve was perfect, and how the England captain should be Sterling, even though he's biased. That's not exactly how the bar goes. I'm just paraphrasing, but that's very much the topic of the entire song, how he is proud of his blackness, and it shouldn't necessarily be something that is blamed whenever Loski himself does something wrong or ends up in a bad situation. It should be something that is celebrated when we do things right, and he will always attempt to back members of the black community whenever he can, and it's something he does on the song. He very much puts his money where his mouth is. I feel like the verses on this one actually hit you emotionally, and I feel like the beat actually has a bit more to it. It has a specific tone that it was going to, and I feel like it really makes up to how meaty the last section was, and I really feel like this whole section just saves it. I never really thought that I'd ever need a drill rehash of The Streets, Blinded by the Lights with Mike Skinner until I got it, and I absolutely loved it, and I can't stop playing it. So well done, Loski, you've laced this song with crack. But I actually, in all jokes aside, I think the way he uses the song concept and the sample along with Mike Skinner, and him getting to re-record a couple vocals as well from the original track and adding in some new ones, I think that's really cool. And I think Blinded by the Lights, using that song specifically, it really helps for him to introduce the topic he wants to talk about, which is his struggles with the police. Obviously, Blinded by the Lights, specifically police lights, and talking about his time and his experiences as part of Harlem Spartans and everyone around him, the family that he grew up with, and his experiences of the past, and specifically how that relates to how he feels about the police and his experiences attempting to deal with them and try and live his life. Do you know what? I love the Emile Sande and Loski collab so much, I don't even mind how out of place that xylophone melody was in there. Just stop fucking using that instrument. Please, just stop. It's just never needed. I feel like that melody, that as being part of the melody, it just didn't need to be there. There's plenty of other instruments, please use them. Or plenty of other synth sounds that you could have used, but that xylophone sound is tired. And I really love how Emile Sande's voice and how great she is vocally on this, and I did not see this collab coming ever, but obviously I didn't pay attention and read the track list. But anyway, I really did like it, and I really like how they both bounce off each other really well in terms of the song structure itself, and it really brings that sort of vibe. I feel like this is a bit more of a pain song, and I feel like people do resonate with that sort of thing, and I feel like this one really rounds out the whole tape well, especially this entire section for what Loski was trying to go for. So on Life So Deep, Loski is really diving into his trauma and everything he's seen around him, from friends dying to having to do certain things in order to stay alive in the environment that he's in, to seeing friends end up in jail, to missing friends that are in jail, loved ones and how it strains on their relationships, etc, etc. So like I said, it really is a pain song, and I think it's rounded out really well by Emile Sande's vocals. So overall, I'm gonna go C+, because I feel like that middle section of the tape was just so weak, it drags down the entire thing. I really do like quite a lot of the drill cuts on this thing, and I do like the beat selection within some of the drill cuts, but I feel like that Bando and Double L's verse was so weak. I feel like that Stormzy song, Flavors, was just not needed. It just didn't need to exist. That Fredo verse was just dead, and I feel like that song with H was just a bit of a snore fest. It didn't really do anything for me, but I feel like I understand why he did it, because I guess that sort of crowd, and he recognizes that is a fan base that he has, likes those sort of songs, and do you know what? Go make some bread, go make some paper, go get some radio spins, go get it spinning in clubs when lockdown is over. You make your peas. Do I think it's good? No. Do I think it's a good business move? Yes. Do I think it destroys the integrity of your tape? Yes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the end of the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe for anything. So that's the end of the review. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Torment me in the comments if you think I was too harsh on the golden boy of drill, but bear in mind he's a newcomer, so just, you know, we're going easy on him at this stage. He hasn't really done that much, obviously. All jokes aside, I'm probably going to try and start getting into reviews again. I'm trying to see if I can make sure I'm recording one video a week. I've got the PA Salut one I'm going to be recording after this, so that should be coming out probably the day after this video uploads. I'm literally just trying to just throw content at you guys. Let me know if you have any requests. I do have 2 requests for Throwback Thursdays that I will be doing in this recording session, so I will be trying to get those out as well. So hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.